City Council meeting for the City of Valley Center for March 1st, 2022 is now in session. Roll call.
Mayor Cicerella. Councilmember Stam.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Bass. Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
Please rise for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh God, we come before you with gratitude. We thank you for being a God of love who is with us in this very place. We thank you for all the elected and appointed officers and staff who have been called to serve and lead this wonderful community. Lord, pour out your wisdom and blessings on everyone who gathered here tonight. Our mayor, and city council members, and all the city staff, and first responders, and all those who do their best to make this community a wonderful place. Lord, we are about to begin this meeting. Bless all the decisions we make tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 5 is approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6, administration agenda, council meeting minutes from February 15th, 2022.
Move to approve the minutes of February 15th, 2022 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the city council minutes from February 15th, 2022. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7A, presentation from Waste Connections.
Council members, I really don't have a presentation. I just wanted to come here and thank the City of Valley Center. This has been, I think, 13 months. We have provided trash and recycling service for the city. So I wanted to come in person to thank you all and to see if you had any questions for me. I know there were times when we started this in February, it didn't start out too well, with the ice and snowstorm 2 weeks into it. But I think we finally got things going, running smooth. It probably took about 6 months. I was talking to Brent probably 2 or 3 times a week, and I don't think it's been probably 3 or 4 months since we spoke, so that's a good thing. Like I said, I'm here to see if you guys had any questions for me.
Do you have any questions? Anyone? I haven't heard any comments negative from anyone, any of my constituents. So, Mr. Colbert.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for the moving wall. You guys
Oh.
working that place up there. That was great.
Thank you, no
Yeah.
problem. I heard it was, I didn't get a chance to come down here, but I heard it was pretty neat.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
All right,
We'll stay in touch.
thank you.
Item 8, public forum. This is the time of the meeting that anyone would like to speak to any item that is not on the agenda. Seeing no one, we will move on. We have no appointments. Item 10A, old business. Ordinance 1371-22 cemetery, second reading.
Good evening, Council. Neil Owens wasn't able to join us this evening as he had a death in the family. So, of course, family comes first, but I will stand for any questions. We did have an opportunity to look around, and there isn't any community that has specific language, Councilmember Kerstetter, regarding the timeline or documentation to provide to verify, residency requirement or language in their cemetery ordinance. And so we felt as city staff that moving forward with the current ordinance, the way it was drafted and the way it was read during the first reading, that is sufficient for city staff to move forward.
Is that what you had the question about?
No.
Okay, go ahead,
But I
Dale.
appreciate that. I did notice that you removed the purchase prices. Or did I just totally skim over that?
They're going to do, I'm sorry,
You
repeat that.
removed the purchase prices for lots? No, I like it. I like it because then you can, right, I was for that.
Yep. And so I believe we put that in the fee schedule.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's where I saw it.
Yep. Because I know that was going to be in the fee schedule because we were trying to, consolidate all of our fees into a fee schedule that we would then be able to change and amend
No,
versus all of our fees and things being all over throughout different sections in the municipal code book. So I know that Mr. Barry Smith and the finance department have been working towards that process. So that's probably how this is
well,
written.
I just, like I said, I liked seeing that it wasn't in there.
Yep. And so the fee will be set periodically and reviewed by the Public Properties and Outdoor Spaces Board, and then of course set and approved by you all as the governing body. A little bit more flexibility.
Yes.
Great pointer.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve second reading ordinance 1371-22 regarding the Valley Center Cemetery.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 11A, ordinance 1372-22 rezoning.
Good evening, everyone. Before you tonight is the first reading of this rezoning ordinance. Again, this property is the former library on First Street. It is the library property as well as the lot to the west, which served as the former parking lot. The applicants are with us this evening, and this has been reviewed and recommended approval by the city's Planning and Zoning Board. There were a couple of inquiries from surrounding property owners that just had questions about what this rezoning was for. But again, there was no opposition from the general public regarding this rezoning ordinance. This will rezone the property from R1B, which is a single-family residential district, to C1, which is our central business district. I would note as part of my staff report that is included in the agenda packet this evening, that in C1, there are obviously permitted special and conditional uses, but this property does fall in what's called the Downtown Neighborhood Overlay District. And this district does prohibit certain permitted special and conditional uses. So I wanted to include that as well. So you had an idea about what potentially could go into the former library building as well as on the adjacent lot. Again, I would also remind council that with this being rezoned commercial, any type of new construction, new commercial construction will be required to go through the city's site plan review process through the Planning and Zoning Board prior to the issuance of a building permit. And then any interior remodel of the existing, the former library, if they're not changing the footprint of that building, they're not enlarging it more than 20%, that just requires a commercial remodel permit. And for any questions, also would note the applicants are with us this evening if council has any questions of them as well.
Go ahead, Mr. Kerstetter.
I have a question regarding this area.
Yes.
Can you go to the map? That's in the, right there. So is that the address in black? The 141?
What's in,
321?
what's outlined in red is what is part of this rezoning ordinance.
So,
Those two parcels.
so I have no problems with this ordinance. I like that they're trying to improve the area. But my question is about 141, since in this area, that lot in the previous council many years ago, I think I was serving on Ward 1, somebody was going to build a house there. Is that still in the works? Do you have any idea?
The applicants actually do own that lot. Yeah, thank you.
And so before you, are both, so those two lots are going to be C1, 2,
C1.
okay, C1, sorry.
Yes.
And then 141, is that still residential?
Yes, that is residential.
Okay,
That is
all right.
correct.
So-
Yes. And the reason why, obviously, this is a vacant lot right now. Sedgwick County GIS map are always, they take care of the entire map for the entire county. The reason why that address is still on there is that usually, even if there's no building, they leave that on just for historical record purposes. At time, if the Millers decide to build a new house, then we might use that address. We might use a new one. If that number were to change, then that would eventually get to the GIS office, and that number would be updated.
Okay.
Hello. So we've kind of went back and forth. The future plan is, yes, to build something there. We're not sure if we want to combine 141 and 135,
Okay.
since that's a little bitty house, and just kind of raise that one and build like a fourplex, which is right across the street. Or if we want to build our personal house there. We were going to make the library our personal house, but after spending the summer there, and it's just a little too close to the tracks for us. So
I
that's
understand.
why the change. But yeah, our plan is still to develop 141.
Okay.
I'm in money.
No, I understand. I just,
Yeah.
sometimes we forget about things, and this helped me remember it, and good luck on turning this area into something.
All right, thank you. Oh yeah, Mike Miller, 650 Scott Street, Valley Center.
Motion to approve first reading ordinance 1372-22 regarding rezoning of property located at 321 West First Street, Valley Center.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, ordinance 1373-22, amend ordinance 1357-21.
Good evening. This item, on the agenda this evening is for the TIF district area. In the process of establishing the legal description of that area, there is a small section on Seneca Street on the northbound lane that is approximately 330 feet long that was included in the legal description, but was actually outside of city limits. So the city limits actually covered the west half of Seneca on the southbound side of the road, but the actual legal description for the district included that little section. So we're passing this ordinance tonight to just remove that tiny section from the TIF district. Make it everything within the city limits.
Motion to approve ordinance 1373-22, amending ordinance 1357-21 for first reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item C, multi-factor authentication.
Evening once again. Before you right here is our request for the establishment and implementation of multi-factor authentication regarding our city network services. As you know, cybersecurity is a huge issue right now, and multi-factor authentication just makes us that much more stronger when it comes to protecting us from vulnerabilities and threats on our city network. What this will get us is all the equipment necessary to implement this, all new switches, all new managed switches for IT. Imagine IT, our third-party consultants to manage and get all set up for us. Includes setting up a number of VPN users and then the rollout of the Microsoft Authenticator app for all of our city users.
Mr. Kerstetter.
So this is a one-time fee. Is there any annual fees that we need to think about?
The $120, I think it says it there at the end of the quote.
Oh.
It's just for the additional premium licenses that we have to have for the administrative side. But the Microsoft Authenticator app is free in that regard.
Yeah.
It's mainly for the VPN setup. The program we're going to use is called Duo. It's the leading standard when it comes to multi-factor authentication right now.
For some reason, I thought we already had this, but I'm glad we're getting the technology and moving forward.
Any other comments or questions?
I make a motion to approve multi-factor authentication with Imaginit, cost not to exceed $18,947.75.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item D, mobile home variance request.
Hello again. We have received another request from the mobile home park that's located on South Meridian within our city limits. Again, per city code, any manufacturer or mobile homes moved on to MH1 zone property, which is what this is, can be no older than 15 years old. Mr. Rick Mann has submitted an application to move on a manufactured home that was constructed in 1994. His request letter, as well as supporting documentation pictures, are included in my staff report. City staff does recommend approval of this request based on the pictures that have been provided and the fact that this will be inspected after it's installed by city staff to make sure that it adheres to our existing building code, that it's installed correctly, and is a safe structure for rental use.
Mr. Evans.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
When people bring in mobile homes, do they go through that same inspection as normal, as you just mentioned?
Yes, yeah. So what happened? Yes. Now this is as you know, this property here on South Meridian, this is the only MH1 zone property that we have within our entire city limits. And so when they bring it in, let's say it was let's say it was 1 year old, it would still go through this process of being inspected. They would need first a moving permit and then a building permit. So those two permits would need to be obtained by the applicant, and then it gets moved in and then inspected. And then the route map included in that is also a route map. So that is approved by the city's public safety department to make sure that whatever route they're using to bring it in to our community, whether they're using Ford, 5th Street, Meridian, whatever the case may be, whatever route they're taking, that is approved as part of this application process as well.
We've done a lot of variance requests in the past, and I'm just curious why we don't look at the city code at itself.
I think 15 years is a good standard for us to use. I think, as noted in here, we did ask Mr. Mann how many lots he does have remaining. He only has one left. So hopefully there'll only be one more of these, and then we'll be done. I think this is good to look at on a case-by-case basis. But I think 15 years is a good standard for us to use in making sure that what we're allowing in the city is going to be of high quality. And of course, with these exceptions, making sure that once they're brought in, they do get inspected. If there are any deficiencies, those would need to be addressed prior to us allowing them to be occupied.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Councilmember Stam, did you still have a question, or did you get answered? Okay,
How many lots were left?
perfect.
I make a motion to approve the variance request based on pictures provided by the applicant, and that the mobile home will be inspected once installed by the city's residential building inspector, Bill Andrews.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item E, RFQ aeration basin.
Good evening, members of council. We do come before you this evening asking your approval to send out a request for qualifications, soliciting a statement of qualifications from various firms to do an assessment of our aeration processes in our aeration basin and our wastewater treatment plant. I have here with me tonight our utilities manager, Wade Gaylord, to provide, since he's the one that's been working through the main reason for this RFQ, he can provide you a brief explanation of why we're coming to you. Hopefully help me answer some questions. So with that.
Good evening. As Rodney said, we're looking to do an RFQ to address some issues that we have currently with our aeration basin at our wastewater treatment plant. A brief summary of the circumstances: we have a pillow block bearing which is carrying a portion of the rotors that aerate our aeration basin that's not functioning properly. The actual pillow block has come loose and was rocking. To address this, we have since separated this small portion of shaft out to isolate that problem to eliminate any further wear on the rest of the shaft on this side of the aeration basin. This has been a little bit of a problem for several years now, but the pillow block portion came about in October of 2021. And we began moving forward with options to address this at that point in time. And it would be the innermost, the small channel right there on the south side, which would be the lower portion. That's the section that we isolated out. The importance of this aeration basin is where the microbial process kind of starts there. So we're doing ammonia removal there, and that's a big part of what the plant needs to do to meet permit in the aeration basin. Ammonia removal, dissolved metals, several other portions of what we need to do to treat the water happen in the aeration basin. And looking forward, we are hoping to come up with a process that's less mechanical, because we've got essentially 120 feet of shaft with turning discs, and there are 14 in each channel with a 50 horse motor on each side. So two 50 horse motors operating this aeration basin. And there's a lot going on right there with all of the mechanics of it. And we're looking to maybe do something less mechanical and more sustainable than the 50 horse motors and gearboxes for that. So we just kind of want to see what other options that we have, and moving forward for long-term solutions rather than patching what we do have.
And we feel that we're doing our due diligence to go out and request options. Looking for a solution that's lower maintenance. When you start connecting shaft together, connections, if something starts to decline, just the other reason we're looking at this is place this like in kind is going to be a huge. The other part of that is this is an integral part of the plan. So somehow or another, you got to keep it running. You got to keep it high the whole time you're trying to work. Difficult when you have all this.
Yeah, correct. We can't just take one side out of commission, repair it, and utilize it. It's one volume. So that kind of makes it difficult to take it apart or address it. So right now, we're operating well right now. I'm not too concerned about permit at all or anything like that, but we're just wanting to be proactive and not get caught in an emergency situation where we have to contact KDHE and say, hey, our plant's down. What do we do? We want to address it now, get ahead of this, and be good for the next 20 years.
Councilmember Colbert.
Yeah, what happens if one unit in the project there goes out totally? And do you have somebody that can get in there and replace it right away, or is there a wait period?
More than likely.
There would definitely be a downtime. Ron actually moves our current infrastructure dealt with the gearbox on the north side that failed. Yes, there are parts for it. We do have some.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Stam.
I like the idea of going out for RFQs to get the best price, but was any consideration just letting PEC look at it and come up with a solution? Oh,
Councilmember Kerstetter.
So how old is this aeration basin?
That would be the infrastructure itself, the concrete, most of the pillar blocks are on 12-inch C channel, bolted down and anchored. Basically what happened was the block into the C channel concrete.
Get text messages from you.
Oh,
There you go.
I don't want to yell.
Everyone wants to hear you, Wade.
All right, great.
There you go.
So, like I said, I believe it was 78
Okay.
was when the first construction happened.
I'm assuming there's been upgrades since then.
Yes and no. Depends on what you want to call upgrades. There's been repairs done.
Fair enough.
We had gone through some photos and things at the wastewater treatment plant, and judging by the age of the Polaroids, I'm guessing late 70s.
Don't knock the Polaroids.
I know it's pretty awesome. They're instant.
They're vintage.
Well, excuse me, late 80s, early 90s are the photos that we have, and we're talking 1/4-inch shaft wear, and there's new pillow blocks, new bearings, repairs. Then we have upgraded discs from the original style. Now we run a poly disc that bolts together. They're a little bit lighter, which helps keep your rotational mass down, stuff like that. But essentially, it's the same system since that point in time. And my concern is truly with the structure itself, such as what the pillow blocks are on and some of the concrete being able to take that force of that turning rotational mass. It's a 24/7, 365. They do not turn off.
This piggybacks off of my next question is why wasn't, we just did an upgrade to this facility. Why wasn't this included if this is from the late 70s?
Brent, do you want to speak on that?
And was this pre-Brent?
Oh, it's pre.
I see. It's been so long. I don't remember when it was. Because
I don't know why that keeps going red. Well, and I don't need a microphone. They'll pick me up on those. And so I think the third phase, was kind of decided prior to my arrival. Josh, I don't know if you can elaborate a little bit more on why this was chosen, but looking back in the records, this has been identified, from city staff since the early to mid 90s on something that needed to be addressed. One of the other reasons why, we feel it's in the best interest, going off for an RFQ, just to get a fresh set of eyes on it as well. As we continue to grow and expand and all these projects we have going on in Valley Center, there's a lot of firms that are wanting to take a look, and we want to make sure that we're being open-minded to all opportunities, throughout the country. So, Josh, I'll let you kind of answer the phase 3 and what was kind of picked off and what was selected.
Sure. So really the conversations regarding the phase 3 improvements have scaled from the 90s when the initial phase 1 improvements were made. Backtracking through the evaluations and the studies and the memos that we produced throughout the years, 2015 is really when we started to gain traction towards the and then that evolves into study and pre-design communications with all steps. Dialogues and correspondence. Great suite. I was in the phase 3.
I have one more question. I know. So instead, RFQ, just so we can make sure we're understanding everything. This is probably for Mr. Eggleston. We're seeing what they're going to recommend.
So we were there.
that point, whatever organization, like my staff, have recommended patient with the process and everybody.
Okay, so I guess my real question is, we're looking for people to get qualifications from so we can hire them to see how we can fix our problem. That's okay, because we don't really want to. We don't want a full replacement. We want to see what they recommend. Right. Like a preventative, kind of like a preventative maintenance schedule.
We can have whatever solution they put in.
Okay,
Without shutting.
perfect. Okay, thank you.
I want to back up a second just to clarify for everyone. RFQs are requests for qualifications. RFPs are requests for proposal. We're trying to find someone that we think is going to give us the best chance at finding a solution, but you can't just buy an aeration basin at Walmart. So, right, I mean, that's what we're looking at. So there's not an answer. You can't Google, how do I fix this long-term? That's what we're looking at, the best qualified firm that's going to give us the answers that we need. And then going forward, we need a design or a fix that will allow us to take something offline without shutting the whole system down, correct? Okay. That's where the redundancy. Okay. I just wanted to clarify for everyone the difference between RFQ and RFP and
And these are, very common types of wastewater treatment plants when they're built. Very common approach. So I mean, we're really looking for a firm that has experience and expertise working in this type of creation basin. They might have other ideas that we just may not have. This is a very common type of facility. I have one for you.
any other questions?
Motion to approve RFQ for aeration basin.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the approval of the RFQ. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item F, RFP, Public Power Electric Feasibility Study.
That's me. Hello. Good evening. Here before you is a request for a proposal, not Q, but P. And so we are looking for a dollar amount on this one. This one is to help conduct our feasibility study for the exploration of municipalizing the city's electrical system. This is come before you with a favorable recommendation from the Public Power Steering Committee. We had our first meeting last Wednesday. It was televised in this very room. For all the ones that are watching, I do apologize. We had some audio technical difficulties, and I will make sure that there are mics where people need them. And for me, I will remove all mics because I am very and so this request, if approved tonight, will go out tomorrow. And the responses will be due by Friday, April 15th. This one is really specialized when it comes to the type of feasibility study that we're looking for. So there's only, 15, maybe 20 firms in the entire country that specialize in this type of feasibility study. So we're really looking for that great proposal from Berth, and that's why this one's a little longer. Then you'll see, some of the RFQs or other RFPs, depending on what we're looking for. So we want to give everyone ample opportunity to submit a proposal regarding our feasibility study. What this will do is, this is the document and the nuts and bolts that will get into the weeds of exactly what we need to do moving forward if we so choose to municipalize and purchase our distribution system from Evergy. So this is the first step of approving this document to go out for RFP, and then having that firm, will take anywhere from 12 to 18 months depending on the workload to dive into every single detail when it comes to our ROI, return on the investment, what the cost would be according to their research, their opinion, as well as the input, really every single thing when it comes to the substations, working with Evergy, of course, on information, and really depending what our energy load is, what is it today, what could it be, passing out into the future as well. So that's what this RFP is doing when it comes to our electric system.
Councilmember Critter.
I like it. I like your optimistic schedule on the last page. However, on the first page, just whatever they sign and send, make sure it's a second-class city.
Yes, I should be changed with this one. I apologize. I caught that. Actually, Mr. Ryan Track caught that. Called me immediately. I did change it and sent everybody an update, and it should have changed on. Let me question here. Let me.
You did send it out.
Right there.
Look at that. Oh. Responsibility on that.
That's all right.
Class A, yes.
As long as the one we send out and whoever signs is
Always important to look
the
at.
lies.
If that's the worst thing, I will absolutely. If there is something that that jumps out, I had the committee look at this. I did receive some feedback. Answered and clarified a few things within what we're looking for when it comes to the criteria. One of the questions was regarding references, and yes, references are in there, making sure that this is the first time doing feasibility such as this. City of Pittsburgh is the most recent one that's gone through this process in the state of Kansas. And so a lot of this same information is the one that they use. And so we also have a list of the companies from KMEA that we send this to via email, making sure they get it directly sent to their inbox. So we hope to have some good responses. I've already had a few calls of saying, hey, let's take a look at this, and they've seen it online. Because of course you can watch or see everything on our website at valleycenterks.org. You can go to our agenda. So yes, this is a very aggressive. I am optimistic that we can achieve this. Talking with the Public Power Committee, they're dedicated, really dedicated group of people, and I appreciate everyone that's on that committee, and they have these dates blocked out in their schedule. So hopefully, if everything goes right, we can have our consultant selection June 7th, and then have the contract hopefully to the council for that July 5th. Of course, that is to be determined, and it needs to be changed. Of course, this is a really big endeavor to go down. We want to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve the request for proposal for Valley Center Electric Utility Feasibility Study.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Item 11G, executive session to discuss possible land acquisition.
Make a motion to recess into executive session to discuss the acquisition of real property pursuant to the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property exception, KSA 75-4319B6. Included in the session, in addition to city council, mayor, and city administrative clerk, and the Community Development Director Shrek. The opening meeting will resume in City Council at 7:45.
3 minutes.
No,
We have
it's
five.
7:40.
7:45.
5 minutes.
Now 7:46.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll be back in session in 5 minutes. Meeting will reconvene.
Council and staff met in executive session. No official business was performed.
Item 12, consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 13, staff reports.
Just a couple of brief items. First, we do have an opening coming up on the Planning and Zoning Board. This is for an out-of-city position. So we, as you know, we have 5 in-city positions and 2 outside of city. So this has been advertised already on our city's Facebook page. But if you know of anyone that lives within a 3-mile boundary of the city limits, the Valley Center, if they have any questions, feel free to send them my way. The applications are due on March 25th to print. And then secondly, just an update, Main Street Valley Center is meeting with the Kansas State Main Street to review our designation applications this Thursday afternoon. So just wanted to again thank council and all of their support of Main Street Valley Center, and we're hoping that we'll be selected this year as one of the 3 new designated Kansas Main Street people. Good thoughts our way. Hopefully we'll find out sometime either later this month or in March about our application status.
Thank you, Ryan. No parks and public buildings. Public Safety Director Newman. Public Works Director Eggleston.
All the hard work. It's funny, we've had people involved.
Thank you. City Engineer Golka.
Our transition in city. So over the course of the last 8 years, also on our city gate shear. All day today. Project management plan review. I've been kind of the face of the council meetings. As of this week. Open city. It's about mid-December. Personal Valley Center projects. Water replacement projects a year or two ago.
Councilman Kerstetter.
First, good luck, Ms. Polka, in the next step. And welcome aboard, I guess is more official now. So since the KGS is done, how soon is I guess this is going to be your question. All right, you might be off the hook for that one. On your report, you got leakers in here on number 3. It's, thank you. Yeah, and then how's the water tower rehab coming along? Oh, sweet. All right, that's all I got.
Fantastic. Welcome aboard. Enjoy your retirement, Mr. Golka. And one last time, Mr. Gokul, do you have anything else? No.
As with any great breakup, it's time to me. All the best.
Thank you for all your work. Mr. Arbuckle. Mr. Smith.
Our reporting deadline. Council meetings. Do options. We did submit 3 things. About $100 million for holidays, families, communities, and other by work with economic development and residential space. Application and forestry property.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Clark.
Good evening again. So I want to make sure to mark your calendars for March 25th. So Mayor Lou Cirillo apologizes for not being in attendance tonight for this exciting announcement, but there is a mayor's challenge that will be occurring for what I'm calling, and I'm sure this is wrong, but for the blood off. So the Valley Center and Park City mayors are going to challenge each other in who can donate the most blood for the Red Cross.
Individually or as a town?
For the blood drive, of course, we all know there's a nationwide shortage of blood right now. So it's more vital than ever before to donate blood. So the mayors, there'll be more information coming up because I like to have a plan. And so March 25th will be right now, tentatively, the blood war competition, whatever title that Mr. Kurtzler comes up with. I'm sure will be so more information to come, but we want to make sure that you all knew that during our blood drive that we already have established here at Valley Center on March 25th, not saying for that schedule, March 25th will be the blood war to come. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions on that. Also, too, your question regarding forestry that was coming will be hopefully within the next few weeks. The plan is by middle of this month, middle of March, that we'll have those documents ready to go. We are wrapping up just the last few property acquisitions when it comes to right-of-ways. One that we actually started first in June of last year. It's still ongoing. So we hope to come to terms with that one here shortly. And then there's just really two really properties that we're waiting for the construction easements for the utility drainage and right-of-ways. Want to really thank all the property owners along 4th Street for their cooperation and willingness to listen to us and their encouragement really to improve the drainage along that corridor. So this project is not only going to help when it comes to the roadway that is just, but also providing water lines out to the majority of those residents and have that opportunity to connect to the Valley Center water line versus either the well or other options that may be more expensive currently, as well as help, not resolve, but help with the drainage in those areas. There's always be certain spots throughout that course of that project and that street that will have some movement of water. But of course, whenever you ditch a nice concrete flume, water does flow a little bit better. So we're looking forward to that. And I'll stand for any questions.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
On your blood donation.
Yeah, the blood.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that name. Do you have times? Time? You don't have times?
Yeah, 1 to 6, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then the next one.
But we'll have a lot more information on that flyer. Hopefully, get some press on it and get some excitement going. And I know that the mayor in Park City got kudos to him for challenging Mayor Cicerello. I think from Park City first, so I want to thank them for the opportunity, and then we got to pick the date.
That's coincidence. Next question I had was, what's the current city's masking guidelines?
For city staff, or the community at large.
City staff.
City staff. In my memo that was sent on last Thursday evening, we did lift in accordance with kind of what we anticipated coming from CDC. So we did lift all of our mask requirements.
Okay.
Regardless of your vaccination status, we did lift the masking.
Okay.
For all city staff while at work. We are leaving up the partitions and plexiglass. This is an ever fluid, changing pandemic, so we just want to keep those up. So once it's city staff, to go to the time and energy to put them up, feel it's in the best interest until maybe a few months down the road.
The only reason I was asking that is I've gotten 1 or 2 updates via email, and I just was curious if there was an update.
Yep. Last Thursday, roughly 8:30. Especially with our police officers and the ones that work over overnight.
Yep. I'm sure they can breathe easier too now. Thank you.
Also, too, one quick thing. Sorry, March will be busy. Most of our projects, trails and the grading of the pension basin and that project, TIP district, as well as Cedar Ridge and Arbor Valley. All those projects will be bidding this month. I know that the grading plan was submitted to the newspaper to advertise in this week's paper. And so the TIP district, the grading will be out to the bidders probably here today. They probably already started receiving those plans through SCH. As always, for all the contractors that are listening attentively to our YouTube link here watching us, go to our website. We have all the links to all the upcoming bidding documents as far as RFPs for all the projects upcoming as well.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Stam.
I have a name for the blood drive, the Hatfields versus the McCoys.
We were moving on to council reports now. I apologize. We're finished with you. Mr. Stam, was that all you had?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, that was my fault for the awkwardness. Councilmember Evans.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Bass is gone. The only thing I had to say is we took a little break in late January and February for serving the senior center lunches inside. We continued to do the drive-through. We never had any service interrupted there because we had such high numbers of cases locally. We have since lifted that and had we had both drive-through and in-person eating lunch meals today for the senior center. So getting a little back to normal. Councilmember Gregory.
The Sedgwick County Association of Cities will be hosted by Valley Center on March 12th at 8:30 a.m. in the community center. Would encourage all council members to attend if possible. And happy Mardi Gras.
Thank you. Councilmember Kerstetter.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilson.
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Councilmember Colbert.
No, I have nothing this evening. If there's no other business before the council, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion, meeting adjourned.